Welcome back to the third part of perceptual disorders, which is the spatial relation disorder. In the previous part, we had seen the body image disorder, especially we saw in detail about what is a unilateral neglect. Now, to recall from the first lecture, we understood that there are four different types of disorders. First is body image disorder or body scheme. Second is spatial relation. Third is agnosia, and the fourth is apraxia. So in this part, we are going to look into spatial relation disorders. In the next part, we'll be looking at the agnosias and apraxias. Now, as I said previously, a spatial relation disorder is difficulty in identifying the relation of objects in space. In the previous somatoagnosia or body scheme disorder, we saw that a person misrepresents or misidentifies the relation between his own body parts. In a spatial relation disorder, this is not about his own body parts. This is about the relation of objects in the environment. Now, there are 6 different types of spatial relation disorders. The first one is figure ground discrimination. Second is form constancy. The third is spatial relation. Fourth is topographic disorientation. Fifth is depth and distance perception. And the last is vertical disorientation. Now, what's a figure ground discrimination? Now, a figure ground discrimination is an inability of a person to visually distinguish a figure from the background in which it's embedded. Now, when you see this picture, there are 3 shapes. One is heart or heart-in shape. Second one is a ring, and the third one is a trapezium. Now, if I ask you, you would correctly identify that the trapezium shape is in the background, the ring is in the middle, and the heart shape is in the foreground. But a person with figure ground discrimination might find it very difficult. So we normally we place different shape objects or different size objects one above the other, and we ask the person to tell us what's in the foreground and what's in the background. So this is a figure ground discrimination. Next is a form discrimination. A form discrimination refers to an inability to perceive or attend to subtle differences in form and shape. For example, what is the difference between this and this? Or what is the difference between this and this? The first form you see here in yellowish color is a rounded rectangle, and the one below it is an oval. A person might be perceiving both of them as same. In case of the second one, it's basically hexagon, and octagon is there on the top and a hexagon is there on the bottom. So a person might perceive both of them as same. This is a form discrimination. And now, can you think about what might be the implication for a person who is having a form discrimination problem in trying to reach and use different objects in his daily life? So you might see that a person might actually try to think that a glass tumbler is not circular, but he might think that it is square. So his ability to lift that would be affected if he is going to think so. The next is spatial relationship. This is basically an inability of finding out the relation between 2 objects. So whenever 2 objects are there in front, you might see that one object has a specific relation in space to the other object. It might, as said previously, it might be above or below. It might be on the left side or on the right side. It might be on the front or back. So a person might find it difficult to differentiate the spatial relation of one objects to the other objects. So eventually, during his daily life, when he is going to go on and do things, he might be consistently bumping against different objects, or he might be searching for an object in one different place when is in reality in other place. Or if you ask a person to arrange objects in a uniform manner, as in the case of a book rack or or something, they might have a lot of difficulty in doing such tasks. So till now we have seen three different spatial relation disorder. They are: number one, figure ground discrimination. Second one is form constancy, which is inability to discriminate similar forms. And third one is relation between objects in space. This is very similar to position in space, right? So in position in space, what happens is, if you ask the person where, say for example, person is cooking in his kitchen, and you ask him to pick up a bottle of pepper or a bottle of salt, they might be having a lot of difficulty in going and reaching for an object, because they might be having a lot of difficulty in identifying in which part of the space is that particular object. So something which is above might be perceived as something which is below, and you might be consistently trying to undershoot to reach for that object. Topographic disorientation is a very unique disorder where we find a lot of difficulty in knowing the geographical location in the outside our house. So you would have commonly seen that some of us would be very, very good in telling routes to go to a known place, but a lot of others would be having a lot of difficulty in telling how to go. So if you have to go, you would be perfectly going to a place and you'll be coming back. But if you have to tell what is the location, let's say for example how to go from your rooms where you stay to the college, so it includes turning a lot of right, left, and a lot of landmarks in between. So if you're not very clear with the landmarks, it is going to be very, very tough for you to say which right they have to take or which left they have to take, and when they will have to move in other direction, opposite direction. So but a person with topographic disorientation, you will commonly find that if you ask them, they might be able to tell the direction very clearly. But what happens is, if they have to go to one place, if you leave them, they will not be able to return back. Or if you ask them, okay, you have told us the route, now can you go and get purchase grocery or something from the store and come? They'll go, they'll not be coming back. This is a very, very dangerous disorder. It's called as topographic disorientation. The next one is vertical disorientation. In our day-to-day life, if you look into most of the objects which are there in front of us, say for example a table, the table's leg are all vertical. If you see a door, the rim of the door is always vertical. If you see a chair, the legs of the chair are always vertical. So what happens normally is, a person perceives the body as vertical, and he perceives all the things which are there in the environment as vertical. But what can happen sometimes is, a person might perceive that the objects in the environment are not vertical. So what you will see is, consistently this person will be tilting to one side, or whenever you ask him to lift an object and keep it vertically, say for example a glass of water, he might consistently be spilling the water because he places it not vertically. Now it's not a problem with his motor system, but his inability to place could be because he is perceiving that the glass tumbler which he is placing is being placed vertically, but in reality it is not so. So this is called as a vertical disorientation disorder. You will also consistently see that they are going and bumping when they have to cross through and walk through narrow pathways. The next disorder, the last one of the spatial relation, is depth and distance perception. Distance perception, as you can correctly guess, is how much distance an object is there from us, and depth is how much deeper an object is there from us. I want you to pause and start thinking, in which place would a person who is having a depth perception be having a lot of difficulty? Yes, you would have correctly guessed where they would be having difficulty. Definitely, it's a very dangerous thing. A person who is having a depth perception might misjudge the depth of a step. So he might misstep and fall down, and it could be grave. So that's depth and distance perception. So I hope you would have understood by the end of it what are the different types of spatial relation disorders. So to summarize, relation disorders are of many varieties. They include figure ground discrimination, where we have difficulty in foreground, background, identifying what's in foreground and background, form constancy, a spatial relation disorder, a topographic disorientation, a vertical disorientation, and depth and distance perception. In addition, we also said about position and space. So most of these disorders would render a patient having a lot of difficulty in interacting with external objects in his environment and make his daily life really a mess. So with this, we will conclude this part, and in the last part we'll be seeing about the agnosias and apraxias. Thank you.